Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we're kind of on storm watch around here. It is very cloudy. It's hot, muggy, and it's windy, and it just has that feel, that smell, that I don't know. That yeah, we are going to get storms, and that's what they're predicting. They are predicting the worst of it to be west of here, but we are still in the area that could get some very significant weather, large hail, potential for tornadoes and stuff. So, you know, we're all getting ready. Our team's getting ready, that sort of stuff. So, I know you get tired of hearing about the weather like that, but hey, that's the thing. It's going to affect you a lot faster than some Chinese nuke. So, you should probably get ready. I don't know what to think about the news. It's like always all over the board. We've got the president today making kind of an underlying sort of subliminal threat to Israel, saying that, hey, you need to either wrap this up in Gaza real quick or we're going to cut you off when it comes to support. And that's a big deal because we are really Israel's only ally. And if that were to happen, that's a big deal. But I'm still leaning towards this all just being a big charade. I could be wrong. But it's just, there's too many things that it'd be a long video, but most of you understand it, that Trump has shown a very strong, and all of his people, his administration, and they still are, shown a very strong support for Israel. So it's strange all of a sudden this reversal. If that were to happen, if it's true, then I don't know. I mean, even if you don't like Israel, it just shows the kind of person that Trump is. So I don't know. Anyways, and then, of course, it's being said that Trump had a telephone conversation with Vladimir Putin this morning. You know, who knows? Of course, the whole Iran situation still going on. And then, even though it's not been in the news, there's still no trade deal with China. I mean, there's a pause, a reduction of some tariffs, but that's still going on. And it's going to continue to go on for a while. I don't see these issues just being resolved overnight. I think it would be foolish of us to just think that that's just how it's going to happen. They're either going to continue to escalate or they're slowly going to move to the area of it being some kind of positive resolution, right? And when you think about it, especially in these three areas with Russia, Iran, and China, none of this is new. I mean, these problems, this conflict has been going on for years. Some of it's really even decades. You know, the whole Russia-Ukraine thing going back to like 2013, 2014. With China, it's been at least 20 years. And then with Iran, at least going back to the Obama administration when he, in such his genius self, you know, reduced sanctions and all this kind of stuff, allowed them to start developing nukes. And so I guess from one perspective, you could say, yeah, you know, these situations have been going on for a long time. It's not that big a deal. But on the other hand, you can pretty much, you know, write it down and show that they are definitely escalating. Things are escalating. You know, Russia is in Ukraine and has been for a few years. Israel and Iran have gone back and forth, and Trump's given ultimatums. We started a trade war with China. So things are escalating. But the question really should be, is this actually moving towards some type of bigger escalation that we all sometimes think is going to happen? Or is this all just being drug out to kind of keep us all busy? And I'll be honest with you, I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know. And some days I think maybe one way, and the other days I may think a different way. It just, I don't know. I mean, you have to ask yourself, who really benefits from all of this? I personally don't see that the average American person is benefiting from any of this. And I know the whole China trade deal, you might be able to make an argument there. But in general, all this stuff that's going on, it's not benefiting you and I. It's not benefiting the Russian people or the Chinese people or the Iranian people. They're all pretty much like you and I. They may believe different, their culture's a little different, but in the end, they're just trying to do what's best for their family, raise children, pay bills, you know, that kind of stuff. Who benefits? Cui bono? Well, it's the elites. It's the people that's running the show, and it's not necessarily the heads of state, because that does change at times. It's the people behind them that's running the show. You know, the bankers, the people that are causing conflict and strife on the planet that it would benefit them. Can they be named? Yeah, some of them. Some of them probably not. But whether or not these conflicts and others escalate into an actual physical war, which the Trump administration has been actually warning of this. As much as there's this talk of attempted peace, you know, we've got the Trump administration openly talking about actually having American soldiers fighting against Russians and Chinese. And just recently, a few days ago, the U.S. military, the Pentagon, stated that if this escalated to that point, that it would be very possible to see foreign troops invading the United States, that we could fight these battles on our own soil, which, I mean, it hasn't happened since what? The War of 1812? I mean, a long time, you know, a couple hundred years. Americans aren't prepared for that. I mean, I know there's this old saying, oh, you know, they've all got a bunch of guns. You know, I'm very convinced that the average American gun owner is in no way prepared to take up arms to defend themselves and that type of stuff. They're just not. They're not physically ready. They're not mentally ready. They may have guns and a few rounds, but they certainly don't have what it would take to actually put up a real defense against trained and armed troops. They're just not. So that argument, I don't even care about that. It doesn't mean anything. There are some, but most aren't. But the point is that the talk is sounding very escalatory, and maybe that's part of the peace deal, the art of the deal, you know, to make it sound really bad so that the other side will give in. But that doesn't make sense, because why would you make it sound bad to the American people? You need to be making it sound bad to their people, not to our people. In the end, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it just needs to be said. We have to realize that these things that are happening, while they certainly may, possibly could lead to a big war, in fact, it's probably getting more and more likely that a big war will happen. It's like every other war that's ever happened. It's not for you and I. It's not to benefit us. It's to benefit the overlords. And I think that there's been enough time since we've had the last big wars, you know, almost 100 years ago, that it's time to have another big world war. Things have been too good. People are just, there's problems, there's social and moral problems all across the world. There's a lot of people, they want to reduce the size of that. They want to shift the world's focus from things that's been for a long time, you know, the traditional ways that we've always done things, even though technology has been increasing like it always does. They want to make this big leap, this big quantum leap. This is like an evolutionary leap into something new. And they know they're not going to get people to do that without going through some kind of collapse, some kind of bad things. And then there's also the theory that fits right along with all this, that all this talk of global cataclysmic upheaval, you know, on a big cycle that happens every so many thousands of years is coming close. We're due for another round. And so I think that a lot of this is distraction. It doesn't mean that we're never going to see a world war or anything between all of these parties. It just means that it's not being done to benefit us. Like there are all sorts of ways that you could resolve these problems if you actually just got people to sit down and talk. And I know you say, well, that's what Trump's wanting to do. I don't know. It doesn't sound like that. You know, his talks like with Zelensky is in front of cameras in the White House, Oval Office. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. That's a show, right? You have cameras there and it's a show. Behind closed doors, talk about some things where everyone feels like they're on an equal playing field, and then start to resolve things. There's ways to get through all these problems, and those haven't been done. They weren't done during the Biden administration. They're not really being done during the Trump administration. And it's because all the stuff that's happening is happening for a purpose, And it's not to benefit you and I. And we have to understand that. People need to start wrapping their heads around this. This idea that there's a guy in the White House or anywhere else that's on your side is, to me, absurd. It doesn't mean that he's a horrible person. It just means that he's not on your side. He's there to benefit himself, his family, his connections, his supporter, his people that are paying him to be there in office. So that kind of stuff. His masters. Everyone's got a master, right? And so how, hearing all this, some of you might be thinking, okay, that's great. I agree with all this. But what does that have to do with you and I in this video? This is why we have to stop believing that these people, that these things are going to be resolved because one person or a group of people are going to fix them. They're not. And even if war doesn't come with Iran or doesn't come with Russia or doesn't come with China, there will always be some other thing that's happening that justifies their existence, and it justifies them to take more from us, whether it's our money, our labor, our life, our DNA, whatever it is. They have to continue to justify their existence. It's just like the whole Trump administration. Almost every one of these people that he put into power, into office, including himself, had a real big talk about, during the campaign trail about how they're going to get into office and they're going to start shutting things down. They're going to end the FBI. They're going to shut down the Department of Education. They're going to shut down FEMA. They're going to shut down all this other spending, all this other stuff. And while they claim that there has been money saved, although I haven't really seen that savings yet, these departments still exist. They're not. It's not the chopping block that we were told. And it's because it's one big system. It's a big club. And once you're in it, they kind of control you. They have you. One way or the other, they have you. And we have to stop believing that, different people, maybe you listen to their podcast for years and you really like them, but they're not you. They're not part of you. They're not one of you, especially not anymore. They're now owned by someone else. And they're going to have to do what they are told to do. And it's never going to be something that benefits you. I know that's such a pessimistic viewpoint. I hear that all, you're such a pessimist. You're so dark in your opinions. No, I'm just a realist because I see what's happening. I see history. I know it very well. I study it. And I can see a pretty good, clear path of the place that we're going. And it's not really much different than where we've been. And so the more of you that wake up and realize this and take control of your own life and turn that life over to Jesus, turn that life over to Yeshua, that's the number one thing. But take control of it and stop depending upon these people and these systems and these political parties and governments and businesses and organizations and all this kind of stuff. Stop thinking that they're going to fix something. If they do, that's great. But generally when they do, they create another problem to replace it. You need to take control of your life. That's why self-sufficiency, that's why prepping, that's why homesteading. What's the whole point of that? That's why they hate us. That's why there's constant messages like, oh, it's dangerous. It's not good for the environment to grow food. Oh, it's collecting rainwater is bad for you. All these just absurd things is because they know the more independent that you and I are, the less we are dependent upon them, which means the less they can control us. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in a place where they can't really control you much. And so all this stuff that's going on, maybe the wars will happen, maybe they won't. Maybe other stuff will happen, maybe it won't. Maybe the economy and the dollar will collapse, maybe it won't. But what I can tell you is what's been going on for centuries, for millennia, will continue to happen. And these elite people that control everything will continue to cause things to happen so that they can continue to control you. And that's why you need to get your houses in order and get to a point that you are not dependent upon them. I mean, it's just got to do that. Regardless of whether or not you think these events that are dominating the news right now, maybe they will, maybe they won't happen. It's been going on for a long time. But also what's been going on for a long time is their focus on controlling you. And you got to take that control back. Get your houses in order and prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.